What do you mean by devil music? I was intrigued to know by what does Luke mean by this, and what types of music fall under the category of devil music?
It's interesting.
I listen to music, I'm like, hang on, is this what Luke was talking about? Like, should I not be listening to this right now?
So music is, there's different levels to the music, whether it's the vibrational frequency that's attached. You can go to churches today that actually are playing vibrational frequency sounds. This is proven and recorded, where you can manipulate people's emotions through certain vibrational frequencies. At churches, some mega churches, they'll kind of run sound waves in order to evoke emotions for people to give more money, in order for people to believe certain things, which is crazy to think about. And then you have to also look at who's the origin source of that song. What's their intent? What are the lyrics? What are the lyrics telling me? Is it nurturing my soul? Is it destroying me? Is it making me view women in a different lens? Is it making me think about things that I shouldn't be thinking about? Or is it inspiring me? Is it pushing me towards positivity? Usually, once again, if it's mainstream, it's based on controlled narratives. You can even look at the prison industrial complex. Most of the prisons in the United States, not most of them, but a decent percentage of them, are privately owned, which is crazy to think about. So that means that prisons are businesses. A lot of the prisons that are controlled at a private level, they have a stake in the biggest music record labels, and they've done deals with a lot of hip hop artists to push certain narratives on violence and gang culture.
Fuck the police.
To just fill up the prisons. And if you don't think that that is truth, all you have to do is go watch some of the Ice Cube interviews, where he's literally talking about how there is and talk about somebody who's in the game, right? Who's been offered these deals to push certain narratives, to push certain songs and certain culture to get these prisons filled, right? Because the more prisoners you have, the more profitable you are. And I would just be very careful, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a movie, whether it's a song, be very careful and try to avoid anything that you think isn't going to nurture your soul. 1, 2, be very careful that you understand the intent of the person. And 3, be very careful with the lyrics, because repetition also influences behavior. So if you're always listening to fuck bitches, sex, drugs, guns, well, that's pretty much what you're going to be thinking about all day long.
Or girls listening to girls talking about being a hoe.
Exactly.
You're probably going to be a hoe.
So these are all perspectives that, once again, the mind is very malleable. The mind is very persuadable.
But the worrying thing is how these people are literally idolized, particularly in America. Like, I feel as though the worst people are getting all the fame and the attention.
Well, because fame is fabricated. Once again, if you control the radio stations and people just turn on the radio and you're the one that dictates what songs are going to be on the radio, then you're good. If you understand vibrational frequencies and what triggers certain emotions, like Drake's mastered vibrational frequencies. That's why he has a specific beat, a specific tune, a specific flow. It's because he found a winning flow that just causes him to have hit after hit after hit. There's a science behind it. It's not just, oh, this guy just sits in a lab and the song just cooks up and it's dope. No, there's a science behind virality. There's a science behind distribution. There's a science behind fame. I don't think any person is, or very few people are famous just by naturally becoming famous. A lot of people fabricate fame into existence, and you cause it through distribution, and you cause it through
It's very calculated.
messaging. Everything's calculated. It's more calculated than people actually think. When you look at video games, when you look at the music industry, when you look at the movie industry, they literally hire psychologists to come in and figure out how to push certain narratives, because they understand how the brain works.
Yeah.
And unless you're safeguarding your mind and you're the one that's dictating how you want to think, then somebody's going to think on your behalf.
You know, the weirdest thing is when I meet some super smart people, they're so good at mastering the art of conversation and charisma. I feel like I'm literally being seduced mid-conversation. And it's like scary sometimes. You have to kind of be aware that some people they're smart and they know how to play you.
And there's really good people that understand this, like very good players that really understand psychology. One of them, a really famous one, was Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays, known as the father of propaganda, he was related to Sigmund Freud, who's known as the modern father of psychology, and also related to Randolph, who's one of the co-founders of Netflix.
Mhm.
So it's really interesting how the propaganda machines work. So when you look at Edward Bernays, he was the one that pushed the breakfast narrative, right? Because the meat industry wasn't producing a lot of sales, so he started pushing breakfast as a main narrative, and sausage and bacon and these things, just so the meat industry was able to perform better. He also pushed different narratives like cigarettes being the torches of freedom for women. So it was no longer, hey, just have a cigarette because you want to have a buzz or whatever. It was a signal, it was a movement. And these are people that understand human behavior. They understand human emotion. They understand psychology. They understand how the brain works, and they utilize it against you. It's very scary, but it's very real.